Hi, so I'm Rod Vag. I'm with Philos and here to sort of wrap up the sessions from today. And this is really just an invitation to come and build with us, to build on top of what we're building. I'm going to lay out where we're at, what we're going to do, what we're going to be doing, what we think we're going to be doing, what we would love you to come participate in, and some ideas just to get you started to build. So there's nothing particularly new here. We've heard a lot of the greater stuff has already been presented. So this is really just to get you thinking about what next. First of all, I want to start with an anecdote because this, for me, this sets the stage for where we're at. This is, 5 years later, um, and Filecoin has come a long way. So, but for me, this really illustrates it. So, around 4 years ago, at Protocol Labs, I was not working on Filecoin at the time. I was tucked away in IPLD, and Filecoin had launched, and all very interesting, everything. Eventually, I was moved onto a Filecoin project, and we were given the task of building something on Filecoin. So I asked around, and one of my colleagues who's presented today already gave me this idea. He knew more about Filecoin. He was working on it at the time. He said, "Why don't you build an application that you can just store your text? Call it store my text. Any bit of text. Just can you get it onto Filecoin?" And I thought, great. And I was super naive. I think we all were at the time. So we started on this little project. Can I store my text? Can I put a little piece of text onto Filecoin? Turns out that we couldn't. It turns out that it was really hard to use Filecoin, and it kind of always has been. We've solved a lot of these problems by using on-ramps. So you can do this kind of thing today, but you're a couple of layers abstracted from Filecoin, which is not terrible, but there's a lot of difficulty in the usability of our stack. So I want to talk about that stack and where we're at now. I think of these as layers that we've built and that are enabling what we're into now. So at the bottom we've got the protocol foundation. Juan talked about this being 10 and more years journey. This is really building on decades of distributed systems research. IPFS and all of the components that go along with it sit at the bottom layer of this stack. On top of that, we've built Filecoin with its novel proof systems. We've got a huge network of storage providers that are hungry to take data to store data for people to take deals, exabytes of storage, just waiting to be used. On top of that, we've built the programmability layer. We have Fevm now. We're putting that to a lot of use now. We're actually really putting it through its paces. And right now, where we're at is the usability layer. That's what I think we're doing this year. This FDS. We're looking at usability, and you would have seen it in the previous talks. We've moved from heads down building to heads up enabling. We had a lot of very smart people. Protocol Labs for me was the place with the highest concentration of super intelligent and skillful people that I've ever worked in, building these foundations. Now we're in that mode of how can we enable builders? How can we make this stuff actually usable? How can we make store my text? You know what? You can now, and I've done that, and it's really satisfying this many years later. The stack today, this is my version of it. You've seen few different variants of this, but this is the stack that I think that we have pieced together today. In the middle, we've got this smart contract layer, and it's got this very opinionated way of piecing together. Down the bottom, you'll see Filecoin pin, which you've seen the most impressive demos of today. It builds on top of this whole stack, and it pulls in all of these pieces. So we have these pieces that we are putting together in a very particular way, but I want you to think about how we can compose the pieces differently. So there's no reason why they have to go in that way. There's also no reason why we have to be limited to this particular pathway through the stack. Filecoin Pay is designed to be a base layer for many services, and we've got these different components that you can use to remix and build your own services or just modify the services. I think Molly mentioned that these things are eminently forkable. You could take them and build your own version of these things, but we have these components. So how can we put them together? I want to talk about some work that we know we've got to do and some opportunities for us as a core team, but for you to come and work with us on these things or to build adjacent to us. Some things that I know that we're focusing on in the core that we have coming up. We really want to enable new services and do that service remixing. As I showed in that previous slide, we've got these pieces, but we really want to make it easy to be able to extend and remix within the existing components. Not, forking is great, but you should also be able to plug into these things and rearrange them in ways as they are. We do know we need better accountability for PDP. PoRep has these strong guarantees with slashing and all these features. We need similar things for PDP. Right now, you get paid for service, but we need to sort of stretch that a little bit and make it so that PDP has a stronger financial incentives for being proven. PoRep integration is a big one. This will be coming up, but we've got to connect our main proving system that provides security to the network into this stack. And that really means exposing it into the smart contract layer. So we think of this as archive mode. We've got warm storage, but we also have this cold storage layer that we can use as PoRep. So instead of starting with PoRep and coming and thinking about sealed copies and unsealed copies, we're starting from the top and saying, well, we've got warm storage. Let's think of PoRep as the cold storage. So we'll be working on PoRep integration coming soon, hopefully, but these things should just all work together nicely. Repair and replication services is another one we really think we need to get onto. We've been talking about this for a long time with PoRep. It's a lot more possible now with the PDP stack we have. And payments improvements too, to reduce the friction for users. We need new currencies, new tokens, bridging X402 maybe to plug into this. We've got some exploration in that. Further out, we have a registry. We think that the registry it's not a storage provider registry, it's a service provider registry. So it's just sitting there waiting for people to put it to novel users. We think there's a lot of scope for new validation, service validation types inside this package, ZK proofs. I'd love to see some experimentation with TEEs on the network, and extending that further, new forms of attestation-based services. So bringing the off-chain world where you do real-world validation and putting them on-chain. And Filecoin Beam is an example of doing this. If you're interested in this kind of thing, then have a look at how Filecoin Beam's doing it. Data indexing solutions. We have a lot of data. We know how to index data, but the scale is a problem. But you know what? We have a really big storage network that we can put data onto. So how can we use our own network to index? And another one this one is a favorite of mine. I think we're going to have to get to this in some way, but I think there's also a great business opportunity here for people that if they're interested in pursuing this. But SP pools, can we stack SPs in layers to increase quality? And can we actually open up the SP market to even people with a desktop running full time and 50 gigs of space? Can we bundle those together and aggregate them into a higher quality aggregate SP? They get paid less for their storage. But that's because we split it across and we do automatic repair, we do internal reputation services, and we present an external XP as if it's a real SP, but it's actually using many other service providers in the background. So there's a business opportunity for somebody. And DeFi, we think connecting storage into smart contracts opens up interesting opportunities for connecting it to DeFi. Connecting outwards, this is at the upper end of the stack. Can we, so the SDK, we know we want it to be pluggable. We know we want to be able to extend it to allow others to extend it, to allow builders to build custom stacks on top of the SDK so it works together. So we're interested in pluggability of the SDK, and that should enable integrations. We're interested in integrations within our ecosystem. We've got a lot of great builders, a lot of great companies building in our ecosystem, but there's also lots of opportunity beyond to bring functionality outside into our SDK, but also outwards. How can we use our SDK to connect to other ecosystems? Reputation and certification services, there's fertile ground here for building products and services for certifying delivery and allowing reputation-based selection of things, and retrieval and delivery services. So Filecoin Beam is providing an example of this, but it's just an example. We've got this CDN in the stack, but that's just one form. There can be other forms of delivery services. Lastly, AI. This has been talked about a lot already. Obviously, AI is there's a lot of work in Web3 and AI, but AI is just it's just one of those things that is it's hungry for data. It's hungry for verifiable data, but it also generates a lot of data. So there's so much work here that could be done in the AI field. Payment bridges again. I talked about this bit already, but as I survey the DeFi world and the payments world now compared to a few years ago, there's been a lot of work in making these things easier, and we think that these bridging systems between both the Web3 world to Filecoin on-chain cloud, but also the Web2 world, there's lots of opportunities here to make payments easier and frictionless, make this stack more reasonable for normal people to use, not just Web3 nerds. Likewise, cross-chain tooling. This stuff is getting so much better, but we should be able to take our storage system, be the Web3 storage layer, and connect it to other chains, bring our functionality to them, but also bring their functionality back to us. And again, attestation, I'll just mention that again, but there's lots of attestation opportunities where we can get stuff on chain that exists in the real world. But mostly I want you to think about just storage. We have this big storage platform that's finally usable. Every app needs storage. Where can we put our storage into existing or new applications? So we think it's time to build. These are just some ideas just to get you thinking. There's already been plenty of ideas presented already. We think compute extensions. Can we build a Lambda on Filecoin? Can we put compute next to the storage? This has been something that we've thought about for years. We think it's possible now. Data DAO is another thing we've been talking about for years, but these things are within reach now that there's so much of this stuff is programmable. Big data services. Even just during the presentation today, we've seen David Gasquez putting some things onto Filecoin on-chain cloud to do some data analysis. But can we expand this to do big query type stuff with Filecoin? I think we can, but it's just sort of waiting for somebody to start tinkering with this. Here's some user examples. You know, if you're a PLDG person or somebody that wants to start a business or just wants to hack on something, here's some free ideas for you. Can we build a serverless archive.org, a snapshot service? Can we build a decentralized package distribution? NPM on IPFS was a thing. There's still code around for that. Could we do something like that? I think we could, but again, it's the motivation. Git, can we back up Git? Can we store Git? Can we use Filecoin as a Git backend? A browser plugin. I'd love a browser plugin to go to a website, click a button, and persist that page as it is today on Filecoin. Kind of like Internet Archive, but for the pages I care about. Proof of mean. We can do NFTs better because not only do we have the on-chain part, but we have the storage part. I've put my proof of my presentation in the slide here. If you go to, if that's my PC ID for my presentation, that's a proof of these ideas. If you want to go and build a business from it, you can credit me, and that's my proof that it was generated today. Or talk to Tim for some real business ideas. I'm probably not the best person to talk to for business ideas, but there's some things to get you thinking. Lastly, it's time to dog food. We've been doing this ourselves, and it's actually really fun. Suddenly, we are able to use Filecoin to develop Filecoin. Everything that we are doing now as a community that touches disk, can we put it on Filecoin? I want you to be thinking about that because the opportunities are there. Again, I've been seeing David do that today. Filecoin by numbers hosted on Filecoin pin. It's fantastic. But we've got so much data we generate and we use. We could get it all onto Filecoin. And again, back to this, another idea that's been around for a while. We've tried this in various forms, but can we properly back up Filecoin on Filecoin? Yeah, we can. We can make it usable. We have these new structures that allow this stuff to actually work. So what's next? Here's some links for you. Some of these have already been shared, but where to go next? There's a mailing list. You can go to filecoin.cloud. Synapse documentation is there's a lot of it, and it's evolving. So if you want to get started with the SDK, go there. If you're an IPFS user, we are finally connecting the worlds, as you've seen today. You could use Filecoin Pin right now to connect the IPFS world to Filecoin, to persist your data, to pay for pinning that is actually verifiable. So let's think about how we can connect the worlds even more, because there's so much going on in IPFS. Let's just make this happen. The Phil FOC channel in Filecoin Slack is where you can come and hang out with us if you want to chat more. Or lastly, just come to Buenos Aires in November for FDS 7 in person. And that's it for me.